Hey everyone, welcome to Club Cal Online. My name is Grace and I'm here with Stephanie and we are going to take you through a handstand basics class. All you need for today is just a some kind of dowel. We have a PVC pipe, a broomstick handle, a hockey stick, anything of that sort will work. If you don't have any of those things, just like a towel or something you can hold on to will work. And then just a little bit of wall space for when we get to handstands. All right? So we are going to start, actually without the dowel, we're going to start on the floor with some plank shrugs. She was ready to go. She was ready to use that dowel. Don't worry, we'll get there. We're going to start with some plank shrugs, and you can actually do this on hands and knees to start if you'd like, especially since we're not super warm. We're just going to retract the shoulders. So drop the chest towards the floor, other way, yep, retract, yep, and then protract, push up through the shoulder blades. And we're going to go for 30 seconds here. We're just trying to get some movement, some blood flow through the shoulders. You'll notice that Stephanie is keeping her elbows straight. We're not trying to make this into a push-up. We're just trying to move the scaps. And again, feel free to do this on hands and knees so that you can really focus on the movement of the shoulders. Yep, big retraction, big protraction. Last 10. If you're in a plank, you're definitely going to feel some core work going on here as well. Good, nice job. Last 3. 2 and 1. Good. Okay, now you get to stand up and use that dowel. Yes. So now you're going to bring that dowel out front, and we want to make sure hands are shoulder width apart. So what we're trying to do with this one is we're starting to mimic our handstand shape. So we don't want to be super wide, right? When we're in our handstand, hands are shoulder width apart. Then from here, you're going to bring the dowel forward and up above head as much as you can, and then back down. So your range of motion will depend on that shoulder flexion mobility. Stephanie has really good range of motion, so you can see here she can shrug those shoulders all the way up, and she can pull them back without letting her ribs flare, okay? For you guys, just go as far as you can without letting those ribs flare, and we're gonna go for 30 seconds. If you haven't already started, go ahead and begin. So a couple key points here, elbows stay straight the whole time. Again, ribs pulled in. And then when you get to that top end range of motion, you want to push the shoulders, shrug the shoulders way up to the ears. Good, that's really nice. Yeah, she is a great example of the ideal shoulder mobility for a handstand. Not all of us are there, myself included. It's definitely not necessary to have good shoulder mobility for a good handstand, but it does make it a little bit easier. All right, go ahead and rest. Let's take that dowel behind our backs. Same shoulder position, hand position. We want hands shoulder width apart, not super wide. Then from here, I'm gonna turn to the side a little bit so the camera can see. You're gonna squeeze the shoulder blades together and then lift that dowel up as high as you can. Again, she's got great range of motion. You guys might not be going that high today, and that's okay. We're going for 30. Go ahead and begin. We want to keep shoulders down away from the ears, so depressed, retracting. Also might feel a stretch along the front of the shoulder. Yeah, that's awesome. Just about halfway. And this isn't necessarily working the same muscles as our handstand, but it does just kind of keep the shoulder joints and muscles of the back working and healthy. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Okay. We're going to do another round. So you can put that dowel off to the side. We're back down into our plank, our hands and knees. And then we're going to do those shrugs again for 30 seconds and go for it. Oh, nice. So Stephanie's getting a little bit more range of motion on this round. I can see a little bit more retraction. Yep. You guys might feel the same. You might be able to get more range of motion on the second round once you're a little warmer. Maybe not. Either's fine. Good, yep, really fighting for that retraction. There she goes, nice. 10 more seconds here. Feel free to drop to the knees at any point. The focus is on the shoulders, so if that core is getting tired, you can drop to the knees. 3, 2, and 1, very nice. All right, we're going back up into that shoulder flexion. Hands shoulder width apart, palms face down, and begin. Good, good, good. And also, if you're not already doing this, Bring the feet all the way together and squeeze the legs together, because remember, we're trying to create our handstand shape here. So legs together, hips are open, not piked, ribs are in, and you're pushing that dowel up towards the ceiling as high as you can at the top. If your shoulders are tight, like mine are, I find this movement actually quite challenging. And if that's you, that's okay. This takes a long time to get those shoulders fully open. And rest. And let's bring the dowel behind the back. And have you always been this flexible, just naturally? Just really jealous. and begin. Yeah, not very many people. There's a small percentage of people that begin their handstand training with already very open shoulders, and it makes it a lot easier for them. Those are the lucky ones. For the rest of us, we have to work a lot harder to get those shoulders open. Good, good, good. Keep retracting, and even though there's not a lot of weight here, this is gonna still feel challenging. You're gonna feel a lot of work happening with your upper back, also those triceps. Good, and rest. All right, shoulders are nice and warm. We're gonna go back down to the floor and get those wrists warmed up. So you can put that dowel off to the side. And guys, we're just gonna roll through 2 rounds of those warm-up exercises. If you need a little bit more warm-up for the shoulders, feel free to pause the video and go through a 3rd round of those shrugs and then the movements with the dowel. But we're gonna take some first knuckle push-ups. So you're gonna come to hands and knees, elbows straight, shoulders stacked on top of the wrist. You're gonna push into the hands, come up onto your first knuckle, and then slow on the way back down. We're just gonna go for about 30 seconds or so. And if you're finding that you can't come up, or you're kind of, jerkily going through it, bring those knees closer to your body. We want to be able to slow down that movement. For those of you guys who have been doing this for a while, or maybe you just have really strong forearms, you can move the knees back. Just make sure that the shoulders stay on top of the wrist. This is one of my favorite wrist and forearm warm-ups for handstands. And actually in today's class, our main focus is going to be on the hands. Good, good. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna come up onto those middle 3 fingers and then slow it on down. This one's gonna be a lot harder, so bring those knees closer. When you're in your handstand, a lot of your corrections actually come from your hands. So the goal is to have the shoulders open and our body in a nice solid line, and then we can actually move our bodies around a little bit just from the hands. So having strong fingers and hands and forearms and wrists is really useful. Good, and then we're gonna actually flip the hands this way. And this is kind of a weird one, but you're gonna come up onto the backs of the middle 3 fingers and then back down. Yeah. Good, so you're kind of like straight at the top. And it's not gonna take a whole lot to feel this one, but we're just working the back of the hands, the back of the forearms. I think I got this one from Simon Atta when he was here back in March. I think that's where I got that one from. Good, and then just go ahead and drop those hands down and we'll stretch it out. So you can go forward and back, side to side. If you're not able to straighten out your elbows here, that's okay. This is a tough position. You can bring the hands a little closer if you're struggling to get those elbows straight. If you're really bendy, maybe you go out a little bit wider. Nice. Good, and then we're gonna bring hands forward, spread those fingers wide. Maybe get some side to side movement, maybe some forward and back, when you can just pause in one spot. And while we're stretching, I'm gonna talk just briefly about hand position and what we want our hands doing in our handstand. So first of all, we want fingers really wide. So the wider the fingers, the more solid of a base you have, right, as opposed to this. And then the other thing that I'm going to be cueing you guys a lot on today is you want what I call the spider leg finger. So the first knuckle, this part right here, is pushing down. Your fingertips are pushing down, but that middle knuckle is actually up a little bit. And what that does is it allows you to really grip the floor, and it will help you move your body weight around with your hands. So we're gonna be doing that spider leg hand a lot. Okay, speaking of, we're gonna go into our first exercise, and this one is a crow pose. If you have done any yoga, you might have seen this one. So we're gonna create our handstand hands, spread the fingers wide, we're gonna spider tip those fingers. From here, you're gonna bend the elbows and get those knees way up into your armpits. And then you've got some options here if you're able to balance. Last time I did this, I fell over. There we go. You can balance, or maybe you just keep one foot down or both feet. Whether you can balance or not is really not what I'm so concerned with. What I want you to feel is to just feel your weight in your hands. So practice gripping the floor. Maybe you just kind of try to find the weight in the center of your palm, and we're gonna hold this for 20 seconds, okay? Go ahead and set it up and get into it. And again, whether you're actually balancing or not is not as big of a deal. What I want you to feel is those hands. Push the first knuckle down. Good. Steph is just kind of going back and forth between one toe and the other. Notice where your weight is in your hands, if you tend to put the weight on the heels of your hands, and rest. Good. How's those hands feel? Feel some stuff? Yeah. That's obviously that being compressed is much, much easier than being in a full handstand, so it's a great way to feel the weight in your hands. Notice where you tend to put the weight. A lot of people when they're first starting tend to put the weight here. We want the weight here. Another thing that tends to happen, this is something that I do when I'm getting fatigued, is this first knuckle will start to lift up. I kind of do this like crab hand thing. So notice that too, right? And really fight to push that knuckle down. All right, in between, we're gonna take a shoulder stretch. So you're gonna bring your arms out, hips stacked on top of knees. You're just gonna push those armpits towards the floor. And again, Stephanie's really flexible on her shoulders, but for a lot of us, that open shoulder position is tough in the handstand, so this is a great stretch to kind of prepare you for that. Beautiful. All right, come on out of it. We're going to do a second round of that crow pose. Your only job is just to notice your hands. Where do you put the weight in your hands? For those of you guys who are more comfortable in that crow, what I want you to do is to see if you can move your body weight around just using your hands. So what you might do, I call this the gas pedal, right? Pushing down into your fingers. Maybe allow yourself to go a little bit farther forward and then really push into your hands and see if you can come back. That's the same thing you're gonna do in your handstand. If you find yourself falling forward, you're gonna push, push, push into those hands to pull you back. If you're still not super comfortable with the balance, just feel your hands, okay? 20 seconds and begin. Awesome, there we go. Really push that first knuckle down, especially on that first finger. That's always the one that wants to come up, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, the crab hands. Mitten hands, I like that. And rest. I like that. No mitten hands, glove hands. Okay, we're gonna move on to some handstands. If you guys want more time to play with that crow to really feel your hands, pause the video, take a couple more rounds. We're gonna move on. We're gonna take it to our wall. So go ahead and find your wall space. And we are just gonna hold a 20-second handstand. And again, our focus today is on those hands. So just like we did in the crow, when we're holding our handstand today, I want you to bring as much attention into the hands as possible. Notice where you're putting the weight. Notice what your tendencies are. Do you tend to flatten out the fingers or do the mitten hands? Just notice, okay? So option one, we're gonna go belly to wall. If you're really comfortable with this, you can go all the way into the wall. If you're not, just maybe keep the hands like 2 feet away from the wall or whatever you're comfortable with, okay? We're gonna walk it up as close as you're comfortable and begin. So Stephanie's been doing handstands for a while, so she's all the way to the wall. You guys can stop wherever you're comfortable. Maybe your body's more at 45 degrees, that's okay. If you start to fatigue before the end of the 20 seconds, feel free to come down. You don't have to hold the full 20. Active hands for 3, 2, and 1. Very nice. Come on out. In between, we're gonna grab our dowel and we're gonna do a little bit of line work. So you're gonna come belly side down to the floor with the dowel out front. Just like we did when we were standing, we're gonna create our handstand shape. So legs are together, a little bit of abdominal engagement, and actually take your chin out so that you're looking at the dowel, because when we're in a handstand, we're gonna be looking kind of between our hands. And she's gonna lift the dowel and lower. And we're gonna try to do this for 20 seconds. This is harder than it looks. If you're not getting any lift, yeah, go ahead and begin. If you're not getting any lift, that's okay. Again, she's really mobile, she's getting some lift. If you're not lifting, that's okay. Push the shoulders up to the ears and just pull back. Good. This one is brutal. It doesn't look hard at all, but it is really hard, especially if you have tight shoulders. Good. 3, 2, and rest. Good. That's just helping us build that trap strength for our handstand. Okay, let's go back to the wall. We're gonna do round 2, handstand hold. All right, let's go into it as close to the wall as you guys are comfortable. So again, 45 degrees with your body or all the way in. And we're not focusing on too much else today, so bring your attention to the hands. Notice where your weight is. Try to get your weight in the center of the palm. Try to get all of those first knuckles down onto the floor. Grip the floor like you're palming a basketball. 3, 2, and 1. Good. Feeling those hands? And when you guys are balancing, right, if you're balancing in the center of the room and you're really working with your hands, you'll feel all of this really fired up. It's really common for those forearms to get fatigued. Okay, well, we're gonna do our second round with that dowel. And we're gonna move on to our next exercise. Ready? And begin. Good, good, good. Push that dowel away from you. So we want shoulders up to the ears, then trying to pull the shoulders behind the ears. She's rocking it. We got 5 more seconds. Do the best you guys can at home. 3, 2, and rest. Okay. Our next exercise, we're gonna continue to work with those hands and we're gonna practice pulling our body backwards just using the hands. So I mentioned this briefly earlier, but I call this the gas pedal, right? When you're upside down and you're falling forward, one of the ways that you can save that handstand is to gas pedal the hands, right? They're not actually gonna move, but you're gonna push into the floor. That will pull your body back. Option 1, I'll show that in a second. We're gonna kick into the wall. If you are not comfortable kicking into a handstand or you're not there yet, what I want you guys to do is to do this in a plank. So you'll be in a plank. You're gonna shift your weight forward and then just using your hands, not your feet, not your shoulders, you're gonna push, 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 push back to center. Okay, here it is one more time. Watch my hands. I'm gonna gas pedal, gas pedal, gas pedal to push myself back. And again, if you're doing it right, you'll feel the hands and the forearms. Steph's gonna show us what that looks like in a handstand. So, if you're comfortable kicking into the wall, you're gonna kick into the wall. You wanna be fairly close because you can't pull yourself that far just using your fingers. You're gonna kick in. She's gonna try and keep her body line straight. The only thing that's working, so it's really tempting to wanna push with your feet. I want you to gas pedal those hands and just pull. Good, just like that, okay? So I want you guys to get about 10 reps total, but take your time, right? Nice, she got a little hang time. So you can take rest in between sets. And again, it's really tempting to want to use your feet, just use the fingers. And if you don't actually come all the way off, that's okay too. The whole purpose is to feel the fingers. Yep, she's working for it, she's working for it. Yes. Yes. And the other thing too, guys, is if, we can only move ourselves so far with just our hands. So if you're really far away from the wall, you're probably not gonna get off the wall. So if you're not getting any movement, maybe try getting a little bit closer. The closer you are, the less you'll have to move. Like if you kick in and you way overshoot, you're not gonna be able to save that with your hands. It's small movements. Nice, she even got a little hang time there. And guys at home, just keep playing with it. We're aiming for about 10 reps and just kind of want to give you guys some time to practice this, to feel it. If you're in the plank, it doesn't have to be 10 reps total. Do you feel the forearms? Oh yeah, yeah. How many reps did you get? Yeah. We'll do a couple more when you're ready. Rest, we'll do a couple more. Yeah, it's more about just practicing it and feeling it than it is about getting the full 10 reps in. Yeah. Does that make sense? Pushing down with those. I love that one. Yeah. That one's. Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah. Get a couple more reps in, guys. Try it. Practice it either in your plank or your handstand. I gotcha. There we go. All right. Don't use the feet, just the fingers. Just the fingers. Yep. It's just getting a little bit of movement. And again, even if you don't come all the way off the wall, if you get a little bit of movement from those hands, that's progress, right? You're gonna build that strength. Yeah, there we go. Okay. All right, we're gonna take a wrist stretch. You guys at home, feel free to join us. If you wanna take a couple more reps or try that finger pull a couple more times, please pause the video. Take as much time as you need. And again, if this is not making sense or you're not feeling it, that's okay. This is something that's really, it's a little technical and it can take some time to really feel what that feels like. So we're gonna stretch the wrists real quick. So go ahead and come on down, bring the fingers back towards you, and we're just gonna lean back. And this should feel really good on all those forearm muscles that we have been working so hard. And just relax here. The last thing that we're gonna do, guys, is we're gonna practice our kick-ins with the focus on the hands, just like we've been doing. All right, Stephanie, will you show us just a demo of a handstand kick-in? So guys, if you're comfortable in the center of the room, you can do the center of the room, or you can continue to use the wall. And we're gonna practice kick-ins. Now again, our focus is the hands. So when you set this up, you're gonna do your handstand hands, your spider hands. Shoulders on top of the hands, right? If we start way back here, that's a lot of movement that we have to do. So set it up right away. Okay, so shoulders on top of wrists. Then from here, if you are not familiar with kicking into a handstand, all I want you to do is lift one leg, whichever leg is most comfortable, and just work some little hops, just little hops. But the whole time, hands, remember, active hands. Okay, for those of you guys who are comfortable going all the way up, you're gonna go into the wall or as far as you can, keeping hands active the whole time. And again, there's a lot of things going on here. We could talk about shoulders, you can come down. We could talk about shoulder position, we could talk about hips, but we're not so concerned with that today. What I want you to focus on and to aim for is to get the hands active before you kick up, and then keep them active all the way up. So we're just gonna do reps. Again, I'd like for you guys to get about 10 reps total. You don't need to rush through it, just about 10 reps. You can do your good side and your bad side if you want. I never practice my bad side, so I feel like I shouldn't ask you to, but you can if you want to. Yeah, you can if you want to, but. All right, so here she goes. You guys at home, just at your own pace. Kick up, kick down, and it doesn't have to be like, you know, a bunch in a row. Pause, shake out the hands if you need to, and remember our goal, active hands the whole time. I guess Stephanie's cruising, she's just doing one right after the other. Don't feel like you have to do it that way. It's better to work on quality and go a little slower if you need to. How you feeling? Yeah, how's those hands feeling?
Good.
Yeah. And again, guys, if you're using those hands, you're gonna feel so much in the forearms and in the hands. we'll take a second here. We'll take another like minute or so to keep practicing. Take your time though. You guys at home, take breaks in between your reps, especially if you're new to this. It is really normal for your wrists and shoulders to fatigue really quickly, and that's totally fine. You have to kind of build up that endurance. So, all right, let's try to get a couple more reps in here. Really active hands. If you're comfortable with it, you can get a little farther away from the wall and see if you can really use those fingers to stop you from hitting the wall. Yep, really active hands. Keep those shoulders on top of wrists. Yep, she's getting a little bit of hang time. Active hands, active hands. And by the end here, our shoulders are a little more fatigued too, so yeah, just a couple more reps here. We're almost there, guys. We're gonna finish with a stretch. Nice. Active hands, really active hands. That's your only homework through this whole thing, is just to keep those hands active. Good, that was a nice one. All right, good, let's check it out. All right, we are gonna finish with a stretch. If you guys at home wanna keep working on that before you stretch, as always, feel free to pause that video, do as many kick-ins as you need to, and then come back to the stretch, okay? So we're gonna come on down. We're gonna take the fingers forward and you're gonna turn them in, rotating those pinkies in towards one another as far as you can. And then we're just gonna hold it. Pull the shoulders away from the ears. This should feel really good on those wrists. Yeah. Good, and we're gonna do this one again. So you're gonna turn them all the way over into the other direction. But this time we're gonna pick one heel of the hand up at a time, bend the elbow, set it back down, pick up the other one, bend the elbow, set it back down, just pedal it out a little bit. Feels amazing. It's gonna feel really good after all that wrist work we did. Awesome, good. And let's give those shoulders some love. We're gonna take a shoulder capsule stretch. You're gonna come down onto your belly. One arm is gonna come underneath the chest. Other arm is out front. And you're just gonna push this opposite armpit down towards the floor. If it's uncomfortable to be in this face down position, which sometimes it can be, you can just do seated by bringing one arm across the chest. I like that little bit of extra weight on top of my shoulder. I think it feels good, but you guys can do whatever you need to. And just take a couple deep breaths here. And again, guys, especially if you're new to this, it just takes time. It takes time to build up that shoulder and wrist strength, the wrists especially. So the more you do this, the more you practice it, the easier it will get. Go ahead and switch sides. That crow hold, I still use that as a warm up into my handstands. Even I've been doing this for many years. I love that crow just to get the hands working as part of my warm up. And go ahead and release it. Awesome job. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you again next time.